Hey everyone, this is Monica from Tranquil Living, where we help you turn your chaos into calm. In today's video, I'm going to be demonstrating step 4 of the Tranquil Living process, store it. Let's get into it. The store it part of the Tranquil Living system is a crucial part, one that will help you find homes for all the things that you've decided to keep, and homes that those things will go into again and again and again, thereby making you feel more organized and less chaotic. But one thing I find with many people is that they just don't know how to store items. Maybe they were never taught, maybe they just didn't have the time or energy to think about it, but the way in which they're storing items doesn't work. Things don't go back to where they belong, and they end up feeling very chaotic because of all the clutter in their house. Now, you've already gone through part of the system, hopefully. You've already decided what you wanted to keep, what you wanted to get rid of. So today we're going to go through the demonstration of how to store some of the most common items that you'll find throughout your house. The full content will be available in my book, and I will also include QR codes within the book. So if I'm telling you how to organize something, I will have the QR code so that you can go and you can see the demonstration of me actually doing it. There are 6 main ways that we store items: box it, bag it, stack it, roll it, hang it, and fold it. So let's start with the most common and the most common one that people do wrong. We're going to start with fold it. Deciding how to fold your items first starts with the space in which you're going to put the item. So if I am folding underwear, for example, that's going to look completely different depending on how big the drawer is that I'm going to put it in. Or maybe I'm not even putting it in a drawer. Maybe I'm putting it in a basket within my cabinet on a shelf. So the first thing you want to do is figure out where exactly you're going to put the items first. Then you figure out how the best items are folded in order to fit into that space. I've chosen some pretty obvious items that I think everyone will have in their wardrobe, but I've also chosen some items that are pretty specific here to India, so that if you're watching from India and you have some of these items at home, you will also know how to fold these. I will be showing things from my husband's wardrobe as well as my wardrobe. Let's get into folding item number 1, shirts. Shirts come in all shapes and sizes. I have some just sort of typical men's dress shirt. I have an Indo-Western shirt of my husband's, and I also have a long kurta. So depending on the space that you're putting them in will depend on what you actually do in order to fold them. So if I think about the wardrobe that these will get stacked in, I want to think about the width of the space, and then I will think about how many of these I want to stack side by side. So in my husband's wardrobe, we actually have 3 stacked side by side. So the way in which I fold these, that will depend on the size of the wardrobe. If I had a much bigger space and I wanted there only to be 3 stacks, then I might fold these a little bit wider, versus if I had a small wardrobe and I had a smaller space, I might fold these a little bit thinner. So let me show you how to basically fold any shirt that has buttons. This is a short sleeve shirt here. And the first thing that you want to do is you want to see if there's any creases already that were made from ironing. So sometimes we send our clothes out for ironing, other times we do ironing ourselves, and there's already natural creases that are made from the ironing. So that is the easiest place to start if we're doing folding. Now, you'd be surprised, even after washing this, these iron creases oftentimes will still be there, even though I've ironed it and hung it to dry. So our clothes, when we do have iron pieces, they do keep that iron crease for quite a long time. So you're going to flip it over, approximately get 1/3 of the shirt, and you're going to fold that in. This is short sleeve. I'm going to fold this sleeve in. If it was a long sleeve, I would fold it so that the sleeve would go down this side. We're just going to fold it in. And you want to just make it flat. So even if you're not ironing the shirt and you're just putting it into the wardrobe and you'll iron it later, just smoothing out these small creases will make it so that it's easier to do the ironing later. Now, there's a couple different options here. You can either fold it in thirds. Let's try that again. Like this. So if you have a smaller depth in your wardrobe and you need it to be a little bit smaller this way, then you can go ahead and fold it in thirds. If you have a longer shelf and more depth, then you can just simply fold it in half, flip it over, make sure that your collar is standing straight, and your item is ready. Now, if we're thinking about an Indo-Western shirt, or this is a long sleeve dress shirt, the same thing. This has come back from ironing and you can see the press marks here. So it makes it a little bit easier to fold. But even if you don't have that, you come to approximately a third of the shirt and you fold in. This folds back and down. Same thing on this side. We're just smoothing it out. Back and down, either in thirds or you can go ahead and fold it in half and you're ready to roll. Lastly, if you have a long kurta or a longer shirt like this one, same process. You're going to fold it into those thirds. Smooth it out. Now, since this is such a long piece of fabric, you can fold it in thirds, which will make it approximately the same length as the other shirts. Okay. Now, if you have a really long or deep wardrobe and you have the space, you can just go ahead and fold it in half, which is what we normally do with my husband's long kurtas, and that's that. Now I'm going to show you on this one how to fold it a little bit wider. So if you have a wider wardrobe section and you don't want as many stacks, then you can go ahead and fold it wider. So instead of folding it into those thirds where those creases naturally were, you just fold it thin on the side. Fold it thin. It's approximately where the pocket is, where that pocket ends. Okay, so you can already see that it's quite wide comparatively to what it was before. So if I fold here, and then I fold here, and then I fold here, now I have a shirt that is quite wide. Now, this might be better off for you if you have really wide wardrobe spaces and you don't want as many stacks. Because remember, as we stack things on top of each other, let's just use this as an example. As we stack things on top of each other, it's harder to get to the item on the bottom. So we want to think about that when we're folding things. So that is how to fold men's shirts. The next thing I'm going to show you are some women's shirts. Now, men's shirts are, I would say, much easier to fold sometimes than women's shirts because oftentimes we have billowy sleeves or we have, big parts at the bottom and different size parts at the top. So the type of shirts will be different depending on what your style is. So I chose this one because it does have a different shape than a lot of other shirts, but the rule is basically the same. Depending on where I'm going to fold this and keep it will depend on how thin I fold it. Now, I do know that some women actually fold in the middle, but the problem with this is it creates a middle crease in the blouse, and oftentimes that's not very nice to look at. So folding things in thirds, it makes the crease over on the side and it looks more natural when you're wearing it. So this is the front of the shirt. So we're going to flip it over and we're going to try to make a rectangle similar to what we did with the men's shirt. We're folding in thirds and we're going to try to make it approximately the same size. Okay, now the top, as you can see, is a little bit thinner than the bottom, but it's almost the same size. Now we have the option to either fold it in thirds like we did the men's shirt, or we can fold it in half. And then it's a little bit longer this way so that if you have more depth in your wardrobe, then you can have it like that. Now, if you notice after folding it, so if you notice on this side, it looks a little bit different than this side, that tells you that you're gonna look whopper jawed. So you just need to fix it a little bit so that it's approximately the same on both sides. And if we look at it, now it looks more even at the top. Something else that you can also do is if you have something that's really billowy at the bottom, you can fold it back and fold it back so that it is a little bit thinner this way. All right, so that's first example. The next example I wanted was something that's similar to a men's shirt. It's buttoned, but again, our women's shirts are much more complicated and flowy. Let me unroll the sleeves. So this one is going to look a little bit different. Just grab it by the seams, flip it, and then you can see this one has a tail in the back that's a little bit longer. But again, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to fold it in that third. And just try to smooth it out as much as you can. Fold this third in. Same thing with those sleeves. Smooth it out. Now, this part that you have at the bottom, you can either just fold that in and then start rolling, or you can just fold it into the fold. And you just want to make sure that your collar is flat. And there's that. Or if you have more space or more depth within your wardrobe, you can go and bring it all the way to the top. And there you go. So that is the next option. Now, something that I think every person has in their wardrobe are t-shirts. Now, depending on what you wear the t-shirt for, might depend on how you fold it. Now, this is my yoga t-shirt. I don't care if it has wrinkles. I don't care if it looks wonky when I take it off, because I'm literally just throwing it on to do yoga, or maybe I'm sleeping in it. It's not something that I really care about if it looks good. My husband, he actually irons all of his t-shirts before he wears them, which I think is quite funny. I don't think I've ever ironed a t-shirt before wearing it, but I also am not the type of person who normally wears t-shirts outside the house. So this is a V-neck t-shirt. Doesn't matter if it's for men or for women. It's all the same process. You'll notice here this crease that I was talking about before. So this is folded in the middle. If I were wearing this out, I wouldn't necessarily want to have a crease down the center of me or across where my chest is. So how you fold garments is important to actually how you get to wear it later if you don't want to iron it. And I know a lot of people do not like ironing their clothes. So for t-shirts, it's very similar to the other shirts that we folded. Just lay this flat. So you would fold it into that third. That is approximately the same. And then you've got the regular option just to fold it in half, and then you could stack it. Or fold it in thirds. Now, this is not how I fold in my closet, because the wardrobe space where all of my yoga clothes fit is very small. My yoga clothes and my sleep clothes, they're all in the same shelf in my wardrobe. And I don't like anything to take up a lot of space. So the way in which I fold is completely different. You can actually see this line is pretty creased already. So I fold, and I fold standing up. So I'm going to switch the video so that you can see actually how I fold this standing up. So when I am folding my yoga shirts, I don't do it on a table normally. And I don't fold many of my clothes because I have a lot of hanging space in my wardrobe. So the things that I do fold, I actually like to be able to fold it in my hands without having to smooth things out on a table. And because I don't care if the stuff is wrinkled afterwards, it's really more how I fit this into my wardrobe versus how the item is going to be when I take it out. Now, that might not be the same for you. That might not be the same for somebody else. So I'll just show you just so that you can see something different. Basically, I fold right under the armpits. Okay, so it's a little bit longer. And I fold it in half. I fold it in half again. And if there's sleeves, you can just tuck the sleeves in a little bit. And then I fold this in thirds. Now, the reason that I want this so tiny is because I stack all of my t-shirts that I use for yoga. I stack them, and it takes up a really small space on the shelf. Now, my yoga pants are the same way. I fold them really tiny so that they make a long stack. The other thing that is big about stacking is you want to make sure that whatever you're going to get is easy to get. I don't care what I wear for yoga. I don't care if I match for what I wear for yoga. So I literally grab the top shirt and the top yoga pants off of the stack. I don't have to get down to this pink t-shirt because I feel like wearing pink today. I'm doing yoga. I don't care what I wear. So I just grab the top yoga shirt. I grab the top yoga pant. It doesn't matter how they are. It doesn't matter that they're not, folded and they have wrinkles and whatever. It doesn't matter to me. So there's certain things in your wardrobe that you might not care if they're wrinkled, and that's fine. It's all about the space that you want those things to occupy, and you're going to fold them depending on how that space is. One other thing to mention, underwear. I do not fold my underwear. I don't think I've ever folded my underwear, which used to drive my mom insane. She would always come in after doing my laundry when I was younger, and she would always meticulously fold all the underwear in the drawer. And then after I did my laundry, I would just throw it in there because it's underwear. Again, my underwear has to fit into one drawer, and within that drawer are my bras and my socks. So I just pile it in there. I'm not allowed to own more underwear than fits into that space. So it sort of creates a limit for me as far as how much underwear I can buy. But yeah, I do not fold my underwear. I don't see a purpose to folding my underwear. To each their own. If you want to fold your underwear, go for it. I do have to fold my husband's underwear, which I will show you in a minute. So I spoke before about standing and folding. I am a big advocate of that for myself. I don't know why. I like standing when I'm folding. Sometimes I will sit depending on what I'm doing, if I'm watching something or whatnot. But for the most part, I want everything to be able to be done in my hand and folded against my chest. So these are my husband's underwear. They are regular boxer briefs. I fold it so that the back section is out because it's flat. So when we are folding things, we want them to look and appear as if they are as flat as possible. So this bumpy part in the front, I want that to be inside. So I fold it in thirds. And then I fold it again in thirds. So in his drawer, I stack these upright, and they are just one in front of the other. He grabs the one in the front, he takes it. He's not too picky about what underwear he wears each day. Some people stack their underwear, and that's fine. Another thing that you can do is roll it, which I will show you in the other roll it video. These are the bigger sleep boxers that he uses. So again, same process, but because I want this to occupy approximately the same space width-wise as this one, because this is bigger, I have to fold it in half and then fold it in half again. And then I will fold it into fourths. So because this is longer, it needs folded an extra time. So again, this will be living their best life side by side in his drawer, stacked so that it's in the drawer that we pull out. If you would have a basket, or if you would have, some other way that you want to stack, you could stack it up and down so that you can just grab the top one off the top of the stack. But again, if you're stacking items, try to make sure that whatever you're trying to get to at the bottom is easy, or you're stacking items that it doesn't really matter which one you take off the top. That's what this is. The other thing is socks. I was thinking to show you how to fold different type of socks, but I only have one type. This is short socks. All my other socks that are longer than this are packed away. And I wasn't going to crawl in the upper cabinet to be able to get it. So you'll just have to imagine with me. Socks, I know a lot of people, and I at one time did this as well. They roll it and they keep it in just like a little ball. You can do this, but what happens is the elastic in the socks ends up wearing out, especially if you're taking the same sock and you're wrapping it around each time. So it depends on where you live. I can't do this. The elastane in clothes here wears out very quickly. So I have to try my hardest not to use the elastane if I don't need to. So the easy way to do this is just to take the socks, fold them in half, and stand it upright in your drawer. The socks can stack one in front of the other, or like for me, I put these in the back of my drawer where my underwear and my bra is, and it's stacked right next to each other side by side so that I can just grab it. And you can do the same thing even with socks that are longer. They just stack side by side. If the sock is longer, you can just fold this in thirds instead of folding it in half. Creates the same shape. So making these little rectangles, and visualize this as a rectangle. Making those little rectangles makes it so that everything can fit side by side or stack on top of each other easily. Let's move on to bras, which I will switch cameras for. So bras are something that I see often hung improperly and stored improperly. Now, if you go to a store, you will see how bras should be stored. They're stored where the bra cup is stacked inside another bra cup, okay? So when you do something like this and stack that bra and push the padding inside, and I see so many people storing them like this, it's fine for this side. But if you think about what's happening to this side, oftentimes this material that is here will detach from the cup, and it will cause all kinds of weird creases and bumps on the inside of the bra. So it's best to give the space for these that it needs and just stack your bras one on top of the other one with the cups inside of the cups. Now, you can actually stack quite a few of these within a drawer. If you find that you have more bras than you can actually stack on top of each other within your drawer, then it just comes in front slightly, the next one a little bit more in front, a little bit more in front. So it sort of cascades and creates this space in your drawer. Now, if you don't have cups, so say you don't have lined bras, then you can go ahead and fold it in this way. If you want your cup inside the cup, I can't really do that with, oh yeah, I can. If you put the cup inside the cup and you stack it like this in your drawer, stack, 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 stack. But if you do have these cups, these little foam inserts that they have, I wouldn't recommend stacking them like this because it'll end up ruining your cups. And I don't know about you, but bras are expensive these days. I also wear these little bralettes or sports bras. If you wear something like this, you just fold the straps in. I fold the lace in, and then I fold it so that it meets in the center. So if you can see what that looks like. And then I fold it one more time. And again, this gets stacked in the back of my drawer next to my socks. And it just stacks, stack, 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 stack. I have 4 or 5 of these that I wear for yoga. So everything just stacks against each other in the back of the drawer. And that is all the undies. I know that most people are wearing jeans these days. I only wear jeans when I go to cold places. So I picked a pair of jeans. I have long legs. So the way I fold might be a little bit different than the way you fold. Also, if you're folding kids' clothes, which I do not have any here to fold, but if you're folding kids' clothes, obviously it will look a little bit different. So the first thing that you want to do with pants always is to button them. If you don't button them, they can fold a little wonky. You also want to go ahead and push the pockets down into the pants so that you know those are in there. And you want to fold it so that any creases or anything is going to be in your bum region. Your bum will fill out those creases later so that you won't see them. So this front part of the jean is the part where you want to actually have folded out. So we put our legs together. You will have this part that sticks out. You want to just fold that in, and you can fold it in thirds, you can fold it in fourths, you can fold it however wide you would like it to be, but you want it to be the same size, okay? Now, if I didn't tuck that other part in, let's just see the difference here. This is gonna take up extra room. And if I have another stack of clothes here, it's gonna make it so that it can't come right up next to this one. So if you just fold that section in, you can see how it creates a nice rectangle. Same thing applies with your trousers. If you have trousers, you want to make sure that the pockets are tucked in. You want to make sure that it's buttoned. You're going to tuck this section in. And normally I fold these in thirds. Smooth it out. And there's your rectangle. If I was stacking these on top of each other, I would want them to be approximately the same size, which these folded are. Now, just for fun's sake, I have some leggings that are super jazzy. It's the same process. Your bum is in. This is folded in. And there's your super jazzy pants. If you want it to be a little bit smaller, you can fold it in half again, and there you go. So the main thing with pants that I see people doing is I see a lot of people folding it inside, and then the front part of the pants here is all whopper-jawed and all creased and all wacky. When you put your bum inside to a pair of pants, if it's a little bit wrinkled or whatnot, your bum is going to push that so that you can't see it as much. If it's on the front, you're going to see it even more. So it's best to have this as the part, the front section as the part that is out, so that it can easily be smoothed down. So as promised, these are Salwar Pants, which you might not find in other parts of the world. So basically, Salwar Pants, they have got a lot going on. So there's this huge middle section that's like all kinds of pin tucks and folds and wrinkles. I mean, I usually steam these or we send them out for ironing. But there's a lot of fabric, right? So dhoti pants, other pants that have a lot of, gathering and whatnot in the middle, that creates a lot of wrinkles later. But this is opposite advice to what I just gave you for the trousers. We're gonna put all this inside so that when we go to wear it, you will probably have to steam it or iron it in some way. So the insides is where the seam is. So if you're struggling to know sort of where to start, just start by getting these two seams together. And then naturally, by the fold of the pant, the outer seam will come together. Now, this is straight. This is not straight. So the part that is not straight will come in to create a rectangle to make the whole thing straight. So I basically just fold this in so that this creates a long rectangle. And then I have a couple different options of how I want to fold this. I can fold it in thirds. I can fold it in half and then fold it in half again. Now, what we actually do with my husband's Salwar pants, because they fold so well and they're so thin, we actually fold them like this. And then I stack them inside of a basket, and all of his Salwar pants are stacked side by side inside of a cloth basket. I'll try to take a photo of it and insert that with the the video here. So all he has to do is pull out the one that he wants, and he's able to see them all. But if you're stacking them on a shelf, you want to make sure, depending on the size of the wardrobe, that you stack them according to the width. You can also stack them sideways like this. When we're thinking about winter or times when we're going to be wearing sweaters, this is a shorter sweater that I have here. And basically it's the same process as the rest was. So you are going to visualize it in thirds, and you're going to fold the arms back, fold the arms back, and then you can either fold it in half, or you can fold it in thirds. So depending on the space in your wardrobe will depend on how you decide to fold it. Now that's pretty easy comparatively to our hoodie here. Hoodies are something that have sort of infiltrated culture all over the world. This is a hoodie that has a zipper, and of course it has a hood. So you want to just make sure that your zipper is zipped, and you're going to flip it over. You're going to do that thirds process, fold it in thirds with the arms down. Now, there's a couple different ways to do this. You can just fold it in half, flip it over, and then just sort of lay that flat. You can also put your item inside the hood so that it sort of makes it a little bit more flat. Or you can fold your hood inside. So basically, this makes it appear to be more flat than the other two ways. So if you just put that in there, so the top part appears to be more flat that way. So you can decide how you like it better. Now, depending on the size of your hoodie and the space in which you're folding it, that will depend on how wide it is. So let me show you a little different way to fold it that makes it wider. Again, we're gonna push that back. And so this is wide. So if I had a wide wardrobe space and I wanted to make less stacks, then this would be the way to go. Lastly, we have things like scarves and stoles, dupattas. This really depends on the fabric, and it also depends on the space in which you're storing it. Now, if you want to stack things, you want the items to be folded in such a way that it's approximately the same. So if you look at this and you look at this, when I'm stacking this, this is a little bit thicker, so it's going to make it so that I can't stack something right next to it without wrinkling this. It also depends on how deep your wardrobe space is. So if I unravel this big guy, this I've folded in half long ways, so we call this hot dog style. I fold it in half first, and then I folded it in half again, and then I have folded it partial, not quite all the way. So this will, of course, depend on how wide I want that to be. And then I have folded it and folded it again. Okay, now this one, this is a very slippery, silky material, and it's not as wide. So this is the actual width of it. It's just folded in half. So as I fold this corner to corner, if I want this to be approximately the same width as this, I would have it right next to it. Now you can see that this one is wider than this one. So I could either refold this one, or I can just fold this a little bit different. Now, instead of folding this in half, maybe I would then fold it into a partial third. And if I'm looking at this one at the same time to try to match up the sizes, Then there's that. Okay, so then that would be stacked on top of the other one, and that would be approximately the same width side by side as well, which is what we want. Now I'll show you a different way to roll these as well. So if you don't want to fold them, you'll also have the option of rolling them and or hanging them later. So that was how to fold some of the main items that you probably have in your wardrobe. If there's anything else that I missed, please feel free to comment and let me know if you need help folding something. Let's jump in now to our linen closet. This is towels, sheets, pillowcases, anything else that you have in there. I'll go over a few things and show you the best way to fold them. Washcloths, you'd think that they would be pretty easy. Washcloths, it depends on how you're actually storing them. If you are storing them in a basket or something, it's best to have them folded in such a way that it's more upright. That way you can just pull from the front or pull from the back or pull from the side. If you're wanting to stack washcloths, most people are not particular about which washcloths they use. So it's definitely something that you can stack one on top of the other and it doesn't matter. They're just going to pull from the top. But if you feel like you're very specific about your washcloths and everyone has their own, then you might want to fold it in such a way that it can stand up, let's say in a basket such as this, and you can see it from the top and you can easily pull which one, specific one you want from the basket. Otherwise, it's really easy just to fold it in half and then fold it in half again and you're on your way. Towels, on the other hand, it really depends on the space in which you are storing the towel. So most towels are approximately the same width, but some of them might be a little bit wider. I'm thinking beach towels and things like that. So this one is already folded in half lengthwise. So normally I take the towel, I fold it in half, and I grab the ends. Now you have an option. You can fold it in half and then fold it in half again. And this will create a large rectangle that would then get stacked like this. And if you have a cabinet that's really wide, then this would be a great thing to do because it will take up the entire space. And then you can just stack your towels. And again, people just pull off the top, so it doesn't really matter about what's on the bottom. You'll get to that one eventually. If you have a larger cabinet, or if people are super picky about which towels they want to grab, then folding it into thirds is oftentimes better. So it's a little bit thinner. And then you could possibly have two stacks side by side, and then you can have his and hers towels, which I'm saying it like it's ridiculous, but these are my in-laws' towels that I pulled from the other closet. They have their separate towels. I have my towels that are stored in my wardrobe, and I have my husband's towels that are stored in his wardrobe. So some people are very particular about using, their towel, whereas other people, all the household towels are all together. Now, another thing that you can do is that when you have this folded in half, you can fold it in thirds, and then you can fold it in thirds again. You can't see that, but just trust that I'm folding it in thirds. And then it creates a small rectangle. It's almost a square, but it's a rectangle. So this will take up less space. So if you have like a really thin cabinet or it's not very deep, this is a good way to do this. I'll also show you how to roll towels in another video, which I often do. Pillowcases and sheets, depends on the space that you have. So pillowcases are best if you smooth these puppies out. If you fold it in half, and you fold it in half. Now, if you can store your pillowcases right on top of your sheets, that's usually best if they're matching. If you don't have matching stuff, then you can store all of your pillowcases separately. So this is one way. I have a really small linen closet, so I fold mine in half and fold it in half so that it's really thin, and then I can stack these. This is actually stacked in front of my sheets because I don't have enough room either this way or this way to be able to do it any other way. It really just depends on the size. Now, sheets, I love folding sheets this way. There are some sheets that I only have a top sheet and then I have 2 pillowcases, and I want those to stay together because I always use those together. But then I have other sheets like this fitted sheet that can go with a whole bunch of different things, so it just gets folded on its own. But basically what I did with this one, let me undo this. I have folded the sheets and then I have put that inside of a pillowcase. So sheets are best folded with 2 people, to be honest. If you have somebody at your house that can help you fold the sheet, it takes literally 30 seconds. If you're doing it by yourself, it takes a little bit longer. But you always want to put your side seams together, and that's the easiest way. Once you get to the size that you want, and this will depend on the size of your wardrobe space, then I normally just fold it in thirds. I take that other pillowcase and I folded it in half and folded it in half again. So it's approximately the same size as that rectangle that I folded. I take that and I put it inside the pillowcase, the other pillowcase. And when I do that, it will sort of create this little pack that I can grab and I can go into my room and go ahead and put the sheets on the bed. So once it's inside of here, you just want to make sure it's smoothed down in there. So it's inside there. And then normally what I do is I fold the pillowcase around it. So that's what it looks like. And then it almost looks like a little pillow now that I'm seeing it on the screen. And then I just take that and I put that into my wardrobe. And then the next one gets stacked on top of it, and the next one gets stacked on top of it. So it creates its own little sheet unit. Fitted sheets. Now, this is something that actually is not available in all parts of the world, which I didn't know until I moved to Kuwait. I went into a store there and asked for fitted sheets, and they literally had no idea what I was talking about. So fitted sheets, for those of you who don't live in America or other countries that have fitted sheets, basically there's just this elastic that goes along one edge and it helps the sheet to actually stay on the mattress. Quite genius, amazingly effective. However, most people hate folding them, and most people don't actually. They just roll them up and throw them in their cabinet. So I will change the angle of the camera so that you can see a little bit better, but I'll show you how to quickly fold that fitted sheet. All right, so fitted sheets, they have seams where the 2 pieces of fabric have been sewn together. You just want to put your fingers where the seams are inside, and then you're going to put your fingers together so that they meet up where the seams are, and then the one fabric just comes over the other one. So now you have both in here, okay? And that's the shorter end of the elastic. So now you're going to go down and you're going to find the seams and do the same thing on the other side. Now I didn't straighten these sheets very good when I started. There we go. So on the inside, I have found that seam where the point is, and I'm just gonna feed through to find the other seam. So now you have this long piece of elastic in the middle. You have shorter elastic pieces on the sides, and you've got your seams. Again, you're gonna do the same exact thing that you did before. You put your fingers together, you slide this over, and now, let me back up. Now you're starting to what resembles a rectangle, which is what we really want. So once you have that rectangle, then you're gonna find a flat space. And once you find the flat space, you're gonna create a rectangle or a square. Now, I'm gonna move you over here. All right, so now we've got this squarish. I've made sure that the elastic is sort of around the same area. And you notice on this one side that it's naturally straight, and that's the side that we want to be out. So the side that's got all this, you know, elastic and crazy stuff happening, we're gonna fold this side in, smooth it out, fold this side in, and smooth it out. So now what you have is a really long rectangle. And then you can fold it however it makes sense to fit into your cabinet space. So whatever this side is, this is the side that we want to keep out because it looks a little bit neater than this side. If you need it to be a little bit smaller, you will just fold it more times. And then that can always be folded in. And there's your fitted sheets. So like I said before, that I normally do is I pack all of my sheets together within a pillowcase. So it creates a little sheet unit. So I've got my flat sheet that I've already folded. It's approximately the same size as that one. I have my pillowcase that I just put on the top. And then these pillowcases for some reason are like really long. So I just put the sheets inside of the pillowcase. Normally this is not such a long pillowcase, and then it gets folded. And fold it again. And there is my little sheet unit. So hopefully you found some new ways to fold some different items that are in your wardrobe, and check out my next videos on different ways to organize things in your house. See you soon.